your natural curiosity. Figure out how things work. Then you can invent new things if you're passionate about something. Don't give up.
As most of you know, my biological father, whom I don't remember, died when I was 2. Gennady was the only father I knew. I was lucky. I never questioned why he accepted me as his daughter and never learned whether it was a difficult decision for him. In retrospect, maybe it was only natural, as Gennady loved children, his eyes sparkling with love and excitement around kids, as he was transforming himself into волшебник Woodvin or Carlson who lives on the roof and delivers yummy pastries to well-behaved children overnight. My kids can certainly attest to that. When I was a little girl, Gennady was my idol. I climbed on his lap every evening, trying to inhale his words of wisdom wrapped into the puffs of cigarette smoke and seasoned with extra ketchup on hot dogs. Everything he did with Ira and me was touched by magic, real or imaginary. The walks around Leningrad were not boring strolls around the block from the grocery store to the bookstore, but fantastic adventures to unknown, faraway neighborhoods, occasionally crossing Neva River on ice, despite the risk of ice cracking underneath our feet, or slowly licking creme brulee flavored ice cream in the middle of the winter with the winter hat stuck in the pocket. Our skiing vacations, despite all the perils of cross-country skiing, which I happen to hate to this day, were all sprinkled with his fantastic stories of little dwarfs with tiny bells who hide behind the trees in the woods of Komarova and motivate all lazy skiers and walkers. Our craziest adventure was in a tiny little village in Lithuania where Ira and I lived on a riverbank in a construction wagon for a month and cooked meals to feed a bunch of hungry, half-drunk but merry men, Gennady's co-workers, who joined us for dinners and fishing expeditions. As typical refuseniks, we grew up in an apartment without furniture, with our belongings stacked in boxes to transport finished eggs. At one point, out of desperation and with little hope left to get permission to leave, Gennady recruited us to build wall-to-wall furniture of his own futuristic design. Growing up, I never really knew what Gennady did at work in any great detail, except that everyone always commented how smart he was. While I'm sure that he advanced both the anti-missile defense industry he worked for before we applied to leave and the theater of technology during the endless years of applying to leave, it turns out that he was also a pioneer in digital education, as Ben mentioned. In order to get me into a special school, he bribed school administration with a cutting-edge, real-time student response technology. Think 1980s clickers, where students could select answers to multiple choice questions and the teacher could see their responses graded real time on the teacher control board in front of the classroom. If you know anything about Russian teachers, you can be sure that this technology truly empowered them to further humiliate students in front of their peers. Well, actually, it was a lot of fun if you knew the answers. It was a great application of electrical engineering and was definitely years ahead of its time. As it was all of his technological innovations, he was quite a visionary, sometimes misunderstood, but always fully devoted and passionate with his technical exploits. From earthquake monitoring sensor technology for bridges and tall buildings, to machines to make and test fiber optic cables at scale, to dance floor lighting that synced light and colors with music. He was always thinking about some new invention. He spent endless hours in his basement office with his solder and circuit parts, making, testing, and inventing. Just like his marvelous inventions, His marriage of 57 years to Sofa almost seemed to me like a fantasy that they write about in novels, but hardly ever happens in real life. The devotion and love for each other they've preserved over all these years is a true testament to the sanctity of marriage vows so many repeat thoughtlessly and don't follow through. Their bond has always been an inspiration to me. All his life, Gennady liked to help others, with acts big and small, noticed or unnoticed. He was devoted to his family and friends, reliable and competent. One may wonder where he got the strength and dedication, especially after a childhood full of torment and hunger, and endless years of uncertainty and fears with his family. Perhaps what kept him going was his dream to reunite with his sister Raya and his brothers in this new promised land. His American dream, the dream we were so lucky to inherit, couldn't have happened without the endless support he received from Teta Raya, Garda, and Jacob. Knowing that Teta Raya was near kept him going through his cruel illness, which brought on years of suffering without much reprieve. Without her, his energy waned and left like a puff of smoke into the blue sky. As we celebrate his life today with all its quirky turns, I want to express my immense gratitude for everything I took for granted, for his unconditional love. Love you dearly. You're in my heart forever.
Спасибо, Сергей.
So I'm probably in danger to repeat many things which were told before me. Just within 2 months, we're at another funerals, and when my mom when my mom died, Gennady wasn't told that my mom is dead. He was told that he's sick, and all his energy he devoted, all the energy he still had, he devoted. Just he was calling her and he was asking, no, no, no. Raya is sick, we have to go and help her, we have to save her. But she was already dead, but at this point, it was hard for us to tell him the truth. Their bond was unbreakable, unshakable, and my mom always called my children by Gennady's name, or Gennady called. I said, Gennady called? No, 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 I mean Walter called, Jeremy called, or something. Gennady was always on her mind and always on the tip of her tongue. It's always all about Gennady. Sometimes I was jealous, but I truly understand how unshakable their bond was. When I was born, Gennady already was in our family, and I was growing up, I was thinking that he was my brother, he was a sibling. And of course I took the whole advantage of it, and sometimes I drove him nuts, but he never ever lost patience. And he was the best brother I could have. We, as was told, we all have our own Gennady, we know our own Gennady, and I can use a lot of adjectives to describe him. To me, he was a gentleman, he was considerate, he was kind, he was very understanding, and being a child, I wasn't an easy child for my parents, I really was very stubborn. He was the only person who really could convince me to see the truth, and that continued. It wasn't only in my childhood when I was adult, he still had a huge influence on me. On any level, he had huge influence on me, intellectually, every step of my life, every step of my life. It's just hard to imagine that he's gone, and he's back in an embrace of his beloved sister, and I'm sure they're there right now talking about it, and he'll be awfully missed by so many, me especially.
There you go. Gemma taught me a couple simple rules to live life by. Something sweet will always make life better. To add butter and to everything, drink milk to grow tall, and to never ever cry in front of anyone. Some of those clearly I've been better at than others. He was genius, but didn't flaunt it, and so loyal and protective of those he cared for. And he loved kids so much. He wanted everything for me, for Michelle and Ben and us, and he would, whether it be keeping up the Carlson ruse, sneaking us candy or donuts, or pretending to be Santa Claus and bringing a mountain of presents to the door. And I only wish Ben had gotten to see the side of Gennady more, because I know they would have bonded, inventing the coolest toys and creating elaborate electronic plays to play on us all. And they would have been a formidable pair, and it would have been incredible to watch. Yeah. But for all his jokes and levity, Gennady was also fiercely independent and incredibly stubborn. And these past couple of years, we watched him disappear into himself. And so in honor of the Gennady before, we eat, we hug, we love, and we are happy, because if Gennady showed me anything, it is that we ourselves have the power to change the way we look at the world and make it our own sunny, bright, and beautiful place.
I have so many great memories of Gennady, and I thought I would share some snippets through this video montage I made.
Я ее спросил, откуда ты? Дайте мне передохнуть немножко. Я с такой летела высоты, а потом добавила, сверкая, словно колокольчик прозвенел. Не смотрите, что невеликая, я умею делать много дел. Вам необходимо только вспомнить, что для вас важнее всего на свете. Я могу желание исполнить, я все время занимаюсь этим. Знаю я, что мне необходимо, мне не нужно долго вспоминать. Я хочу любить и быть любимым, я хочу, чтоб не болела мать, чтоб на нашей горестной планете только звезды падали с небес, были все доверчивы, как дети, и любили дождь, цветы и лес, чтоб траву, как встарь косой косили, каждый день летали до луны, чтобы женщин на руках носили, не было болезней и войны. Чтобы дружба не была обузой, чтобы верность в тягость не была, чтобы старость не тяжелым грузом, мудростью бы на сердце легла, чтобы у костра пропахнул дымом, эту песню тихо напевать. А еще хочу я быть любимым, хочу, чтоб не болела мать. Говорил я долго, но напрасно, долго, слишком долго говорил, не ответив мне звезда, погасла, было у нее немного сил. прощание, позабытое давно. Мы играем, словно дети, в провожание вновь и вновь. Разделилось все на свете, на любовь и не любовь. Разделилось все на свете, на любовь и не любовь. Кто-то уйдет, кто-то вернется, кто-то простит, кто-то осудит меньше всего любви достается нашим самым любимым. Много ветра, снегу много, неоглядная вода, бесконечная дорога, быстротечная печаль. Улыбнись мне на прощание, слышишь поезд догобой. Я уеду не с вещами, я уеду сам с тобой. Я уеду не с вещами, я уеду сам с тобой. Кто-то уйдет, кто-то вернется, кто-то простит, кто-то осудит меньше всего любви достается нашим самым любимым. То, что в шутку ты сказала, буду помнить я всерьез. Видят старые вокзалы, слишком много новых слез. Принимай судьбу отрадно, не ищи других причин. Разделились беспощадно мы на женщин и мужчин. Разделились беспощадно мы на женщин. Кто-то вернется, кто-то простит, кто-то осудит меньше всего любви достается нашим самым любимым.
Как вы слышали, Генин цвет был серый, но его жизнь была далеко от серой. Его жизнь была очень яркой. Ярко во всем. И кажется, все, что бы он ни делал, он не мог не делать на 100%. Или это касалось его работы, его достижений, или же это касалось его семьи, как он вырастил свою семью. Все должно было быть на 100%. И поэтому, когда он заболел, мне кажется, самый большой удар это не физическое, а тот факт, что он не мог сделать это уже perfect. Это была самая сильная боль для него. И я хочу сказать, что вы все члены его семьи имеете какую-то часть его в себе. И поэтому вы можете продолжить то, что он не успел творить, изобретать и любить. Сегодня мы просим Всевышнего, чтобы он вознаградил жизнь Гены, отметил и вспомнил все, что Гена создал, все, что он оставляет после себя, чтобы его душа заняла самое высокое, самое почетное место среди еврейских героев, отцов и праведников. Я прошу всех встать и в конце этой молитвы ответить «Аминь». אל מלא רחמים, שויכם במרומים. המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה. במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר רקיע מסגירים. אס נשמס גנדי בן עיסק שלח לעולמו. בעבור שמשפחתו תיתן לצדו קבעת זכורס נשמסו, בגן עדן תהיה מנוחסו. לכן בעל רחמים, יסתירהו בססר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור בצרור החיים אס נשמסו, אדוני הונח חלסו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר